Hello, this is Kunal here, and it's week 3 of ANIM 308, and it's the last week of the first assignment, the 4x4 grid animation. So in the first week, we learned how to, in the first week we made an AI file that looked somewhat like this, a 4x4 grid in which we used geometric shapes to create a pattern, to create patterns in different squares using a color palette uh, using five colors, and the assignment was to only populate 8 out of 16 of the squares, um, and that was what we did learn how to do in the first week in Illustrator. In the second week, we kind of made let me open this in VLC. Yeah, we made this in After Effects at the end of the second week. We learned how to do basic transform-based animations. We learned an effect called clock wipe. We learned about how to work with stroke and fill. We worked with irregular geometric shapes. We worked with regular geometric shapes. We learned about the toggle hold keyframe to jump between keyframes. So what we're gonna do in our third week is basically take this to the next level, and what we will do is now animate these squares moving around the 4x4 grid to form an 8-second loop, which has to loop within itself. That means if I move this square all over the grid, at the end of 8 seconds, this square has to be exactly where it started, and that applies to all the other squares. All the other squares have to be exactly where they were at the beginning of the thing. So in this exercise, we're going to be playing around with time remapping and with what do you call it? Different kinds of timing in our keyframes when we move them. So here I have my where I left off in the end of last week. It's my file version is 03. So first thing I do usually is to kind of is to save a new version of my file. So what I'll do is I'll go to my AE and just make a version up, basically make my V4, and it seems I already have a V4 for something else. I'll make a V5. So this is my latest version. Just gonna do some home cleaning. I'm gonna make a new folder called comps. So I have all my comps in there, all my pre-comps, except for my main comp. So here I have my main comp. Here I have all the assets. Here are solids. So here's my main comp. I'm just gonna call it. So a little bit of home cleaning here. The next thing I need to do is to kind of so here's my entire timeline. So here is the loop that I created, like the 4-second loop, but it's only looping because I've set my work area to be 4 seconds. It's not really looping. So if I were to go beyond my work area, I can see that it's not really looping at all. So what I want to do is make my loop make my animations all loop forever, So the way to do that, as we discussed in class, was to time remap and use an expression called loop out. So I'm just going to do that very quickly. Just going to do enable time remapping, and what it does is create a keyframe in the first frame of the layer and at the last frame of that layer, right? Now I know that all of this is basically blank, so I need to create a keyframe for my penultimate, the one before the end where it loops, So I'm going to make a keyframe here. Now this is a very important thing. I need to delete this keyframe. So because as of now, even though I made this keyframe over here, these things still exist because I have a keyframe at the end. The moment I delete it, I can then tell After Effects to loop only this section, right? So the way to do that is to press Alt and click the stopwatch. So Alt click, oh, and it opens up a little dialog box here. I'm going to type in LOOP, capital OUT, open bracket, close bracket. And what that does, and when I click out of it, what that does is loops. I'm going to solo this, and it's just going to loop forever. So this is what I want to do for all of them. Yeah, I would recommend that you guys do this manually all the time, just because it's the first time you're doing it. So maybe just better to get into the hang of it. You know, you go to this layer, create a keyframe, delete this guy, and just copy this. Just gonna paste that, and there I have two comps that are looping forever. Right? Now, for the sake of not boring you guys, I'm going to copy paste the paste. Let's see if it copies the loop. It copies the loop out as well. So there you go. This is looping out. And so I have to go back here, and it's looping out again over here. And let me open there. So over here I have all my, just using a bit of copy paste, I've kind of made all my compositions loop for the end of time. And at this point I will take a quick break. And I'm back. So so here I have like I just time remapped one or two of these guys, and then I just copy pasted it to all my other comps. One thing I do want to mention is if you're copy pasting, make sure that you're on the first exact frame, because it pastes it where you. So if you have your cursor here and you paste it, then it's gonna time remap. It's gonna paste those frames over here, which you don't want. You want it to paste it in the right place. So. And I'll just show you an example. I'm going to take the last one and I'm going to delete all the time remapping stuff on it. I'm just going to delete this stuff so it's not time remapped now. So like over here. So this one is not time remapped anymore. And if I just paste the time remapping on this, you see that the keyframes start over here. So then this is again not what we want. So if this is your first keyframe and this is your last keyframe, make sure that it is actually in the right place. Over here. This is what we want. Okay. There you go. So let's check our loop again. But this time let's make our work area much longer than. Yeah, looks good over there. Okay, now that we have a infinitely looping animation, the next thing to do is actually block out the area that we need to focus on, which is 8 seconds. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making markers for the other, frames so that I can ladder on the timeline. So I'm pressing N to bring it to close my work area, and as we know, like we have to select one frame less. And so this is now the area that I need to concern myself with for the animation of the entire piece. Just gonna press U, take it all out. Okay. So now I know I want to move these 8 squares around the grid. But if I move this square anywhere, I have a blank space behind it, and vice versa for all of them, right? So the first thing to do is kind of populate these squares uh, with the color, so that when it moves, there's something behind it. So right at the top, I'm just going to move all these squares to the top, even though they're not uh, linked to the A's and B's and stuff like that. So I'm just going to select all these guys, move them to the top. So these are all my these are my 8 moving animate squares, and these are the 8 blank squares. So I'm going to switch these guys off, and now I know I have only these over here. And you don't really have to have a clear thing of what it is you want the colors to be, as long as they're in the right place. So I'm gonna duplicate this, call it A1, paste it in place. I'm gonna copy the position of this, paste it there. So now this is my background of my A1. I'm gonna duplicate this, put it below, call it A2. Copy paste it. Take the position of this. You can click on the word position and copy and go there and paste it. The other thing is I'm gonna start changing the colors of these guys. So again, like we did last week, just fill it like that. Next. Cool. So here we have our 16 static squares, and above that I have my 8 looping squares which have been turned off visibility wise. So what I'm going to do is here you can see all of my timeline here. So since I know that these are going to be static, what I'm going to do is just pre-comp all of these so that it takes up less space on my timeline, and just Command Shift C, move all attributes into a new composition, call it static squares. Cool. And now this is just one layer. Make it something, and I can lock this, right? So then this is never going to move. It's not going to move if I lock it. So now when I switch on these guys, and when I move this one, there's something behind it, right? So this step is very important, where you have to make all the background squares and maybe pre-comp it into one clump, lock that. Cool. So now I have everything set up in place. I have an 8-second timeline, and I have my background squares here, and I have 8 loops in the foreground. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is start animating these guys. I'm not gonna get into the timing first. I'm just gonna start putting regular keyframes onto these guys. So let's see what we can do. It's maybe a good. Each one I'm going to do something to it individually, and then make sure that the others kind of match up. So I have to start from somewhere. I see that this one has a lot of space around it, so let me just start off with this guy. So first position, 2, I'm gonna move it to maybe 250, so exactly there. Maybe leave it there for a while, so just make another keyframe so there's no motion between this and number 4. I maybe take it up. I know that each square is 500 by 500, so I'm just going to do that. I can see that it started creating these beziers over here, so I'm just going to convert the anchor points there, so that there's no motion that's unwanted. Again, I'm going to move it back this way, so 750, add 500, change the anchor point. Number 6, maybe leave it there. Number 7, I'm gonna, no, maybe I won't, maybe 6, I'll take it to 1250, not plus 500. Number 7, I'm gonna bring it down, so that's 7. Just always checking if the anchor points are right. And 8, I'm going to leave it exactly where it is, and at 9, I'm going to bring it back to, I'm just going to copy paste this frame. So it brings it back and just kind of going behind this for some reason. C1, what's happening in C1? Oh, I didn't realize there was something in C1 happening. Oh, I didn't realize that there was a fill there by mistake. Okay, so then we can't go here. I see what's going on. So anyway, my bad. We can't go. Oh, maybe we can. Maybe I'll move this guy right at the start, so it gets out of the way. Ooh, that's so far so good. Well, except for this one little thing. So right at the start, I'm gonna now start animating C1 so that there's somewhere to go for this guy. So 750. Yeah, so I've moved out of the way. In 3, I'm going to bring him down to 17. Maybe I'll pause him there. So there's a nice symmetry of motion in that. So while this guy is going here, I'll make sure that there's space. It's not blocking his way. So I need to take him back to the left. Back to the left. So 250. One more, maybe I'll pause in here. Take him out. No, sorry. Every time I'm just clicking on these things to make sure that the Bezier doesn't start. So there's a pause here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to remove this pause and make this guy here. Next round, one more up. So I guess this is 1 to 750. 8. I can't go this side. I mean, I have 2 frames to think, so I'm just gonna pause it here and bring it back to the first frame. Okay, so far I have not the most interesting as yet, but we're getting there. We're getting slow. So next one, which one should we do? Let's try to open up some space here. So as we start creating keyframes, it starts to regulate the motion of where we can or cannot go for the other ones. So cool, let's start figuring stuff out here. Okay, this one. So I want to maybe move him to the right. Next one up. Okay, I created this thing, so I take this guy, click over here. Here I want to bring him back by 5. So bring him there. Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna pause on B3 for now because I want to start merging these two motions. Not merging, but like working in tandem with A2. So I'm gonna take A2 position. I'll finish these keyframes after a little while. So now this guy needs to go 1, 2, 5, 0. And I'm making the motion a little complex. Bring it down to 750. So you see what I mean? This is a big problem when it does that, right? So make sure you always click this with this tool. It's always on the edge. So now I take this guy 750. Let's see what's going to happen now. So now this is the point at which I need to decide how I want these two cubes to play around each other. So I can make this go up, make this go down. So this dude goes up 250, and this dude comes down to 750. 750. No, and then here, this guy goes to 750. So I'm going to get this guy. So I know that this guy needs to be here at the end. So it's already at the end frame. Can go on a bit of a journey. So I'm gonna one, two, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's try that. So right now there's a block here, but I'm not really too worried about that. Because I know I'll move this around that. So 1 is, oh, I can't go down. So I'm going to take this guy to the right now. And it's 1750. Okay, there's a bit of a problem there, like this guy's behaving himself. We'll figure that out. Next, so this one. this needs to go back up to 750 and 1250 there. So sometimes it's just to figure out a way around that problem. So I know I need to be back here at that point, but I'm gonna go down, copy paste this, paste it here, go down 250. Copy paste this, down to the left. And then goes up there. So here we have, if I just solo B3, well, I know I have some errors over there. I'm gonna figure out how to solve that. It's there and there. Just move it out a bit. Click that keyframe there. It should swing. Now I have perpendicular lines here. Okay. So as things are moving, I can see that there are some things that are overlapping, like over there. I just have to make sure that this guy is in a safe place by this point. Things getting complicated. So now let's see where we are with this too. Turn the static squares off. You know, I'm going to start moving this guy around a little bit so that start there. Frame number 2, 1250. Next frame 1750. Change the vertex. Leave that there for a little while for second element. Now move it to the left. I know I need to make this guy go back there at the end, so that's what I'm trying to figure out. There's a it can be quite tricky because this one is right there at the end, so I'm going to up 250, pause. I kind of have to bring it to the left here, even though I'm overlapping. And then 9, I have to take it back to the first frame. Let's see if I can offset this guy. Pause and no, there isn't. It looks like I'm just gonna have to live with this now. this guy. This guy. Let's move A1 a bit. So I'm bring him down 750. Make sure my layer is selected right. 750 here. We'll keep him parked there for a little bit. Taking back to the first frame here. 5 and moving to the right. 50. So move that out. So go back to the first frame and paste that there. Where did that happen? Go down. Just gonna have to do that like that. So with A1, I'm just gonna move them a little carefully around. This is getting quite busy here. Need to watch what's going on. Okay, bring him down here. I have a few frames I need to be back. I need to start making my wheels back to there. Right, so I have 2 frames. I can't do that, so I need to not do that. Sorry, instead of this, I can't do this. I need to delete B or B. I don't want to bounce it, so I'm just gonna holding on this. 8 is here and 9. Take that and go to 250, 250. So I'm back in my first frame. Okay, so which frames don't have any images yet? Motion, this one. Okay, so let's move this guy around a little bit. So position. 2. So 2, where can this guy go? 3. It can only go to the right, or it can go up. It can do 250. That's a bit it's not that elegant because it has this kind of overlap like this, so I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna copy, paste that, move this guy to the left, so 1250. block moves. It's almost the whole block is moving together, so I'm going to move this down. Nice, things are beginning to shape up. So I can move this to the right. 750. 5. Can move it up. 750. Now where should we go? Oh, very small. No, that wasn't very small. Maybe I shouldn't do that. I'm going to make this. Damned if I do, damned if I don't. So if I go left, I'm screwed in this one. If I don't, I'm going to go left anyways and try to fix it somewhere, some other way. 1, 2, 5, 0. Back. So I have this here. 4, 5. So 6 would be back where it came from. Except that there's this thing happening here. Okay. There's going to be some overlaps, I guess. There could be. But, yeah. So let's see where we are with V2. So V2 starts here. We now need to be back in V2. V2 back up. Wrong way. 750. They kind of swap places. Doesn't look that bad. And there. And the 9th frame is the same as the first one. So that is not a view. So C3, V3 is not ideal. There. Okay, what else do we have? We have D4. Okay, let's remove this guy. 1, 2. So I'm gonna go to the left. 3. No, I'm not gonna move to the left. I'm going to top. basically it doesn't move anywhere. 5 and moving to the left. 6. Moving to the left again. 50. 7 up. 1250. Here, moving to the right. 1250. 9. First. Oh, that's my first. Oh my god, my bad. Okay, that was my first. So, no, that's not possible. I need to. No, this is where the problems start from. So I'm gonna stay close to home. I know I need to end up there. So the next one is maybe to the left. So 250. That was the problem here. So just gonna see this. There's a pause over here. This I can try to. Let me see what can be done. All the way through. If I just stay here and don't move anywhere. Okay, I'll switch back to. Oops. Yeah. Lots of stuff happening. And now there's a fill on this guy. Always. Yeah, so for all the frames are moving, this one kind of stops there. So I need to bring him back. No, that's fine. Sorry. 1750 and 250. So right now, I guess I've screwed up all my overlaps so far. So I just have to take a hit and try to fix it. From 8 to 750. And 9, bring it back to the beginning. Okay, so let me just solo A2 and see where are all these volumes starting. Basically need to be able to access this anchor point. So I'm going to pull this guy down a bit. There we go. So 750. lines. So let's switch this guy back on and see what it looks like. Cool. So okay, so first thing we're gonna do, so far so good. First thing we're gonna do is select all, press U to make sure that we have, oh, there's some problem here, what's the problem? Oh, it's the time remapping. Let's see, let's press P, keyframes up, select all the keyframes and do U, easy ease. So now we see a little bit of a change. I'm not so happy with this. Every time it kind of overlaps like that, that's not that good. I think I might have asked you guys to do too many squares. My bad. So, let me think. Yeah, this is not good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna choose my least favorite squares and then just kind of turn them off. So I'm not so much in love with D4. It's a bit weird. And I'm also not that big a fan of this dude. So I'm going to turn this guy off. Turn them off, and lock them. So now let's see what it opens up some space for us. Yeah, definitely open up some space for us. Cool, so we only bother with 6 out of 8 squares now. 6 out of 16 squares, so we have 10 spaces open. Okay, so for us to not have a problem here. Now I'll put this guy here. Let's try to change this guy around a little bit. So instead of going to this, I'm just going to delete all these frames. So I don't so almost feel I need to be take it up. So this is where the problem is, guys. Go to the left. So I'm just gonna now go to the left. Right instead. 750. just keep it simple and just keep, solve my problem by just staying in one place, not to keep flying around. Cool. So now there is no. Okay, this is a problem there, so I'm gonna fix that. Next, I seem to have solved this problem. Okay, this one here. This guy. Let's see if it works. This one on 3D. Why don't you just stay where you are? But you gotta get it to come down. Comes down. Okay, let me just restart this slide from scratch. Bring it down. 750. 3. Take it to the right. 750. Now, so I can go up. So it's 250. So I just have to be back in place right here. So I'm just going to move back and forth between here and home, just because I can. So I'm wasting time here. So let's go chip, and then stay there. So cool. Let's see if I have any more overlaps. Oh, looks like I'm good. Looks like we have something to start off with. Very good. So cool. So let's try to get some of these keyframes to do some more, more accentuated motion. What happens if I were to take all these guys and just look at the graph? I would see a bunch of easy frames. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull them all holding shift, and what that does is see that. So the other way does the opposite. So I think what I'll do is undo that. I'm just gonna do a bit of both, so that it's just a little bit more accentuated. So that's what I'm going to get you guys to do. So I want you guys to animate 8 of them and then get stuck and then remove 2 of them based on which ones are causing the problems, right? So either just start by animating 6 or animate 8 and then remove the 2 which kind of block you. So I'm quite happy with this. You can see that these D2 and the other one D4 are being switched off. So cool. Let's see what else we can do here. There's an effect called vignette, CC vignette, and I have an external plugin by a giant called Misfire Vignette. So let's see what this vignette does. Let's take this guy and double click vignette on it. And it creates a bit of a ramp around it. There's different types of vignettes you can choose. I find it a bit too strong, so I'm just going to take it down to maybe 50%. And let's just see what happens if I paste the vignette on all of them. Get a bit of dimension. It just kind of forms a fake shadow around things, like even though they're similar, they're the same color, it kind of gives the effect of something a little more dimensional. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my static squares and select all of these guys and add the drop shadow to all of these. I mean, not drop shadow, I mean the vignette to all of them. So that just gives a little bit. But do I like this? I'm not sure if I like it as yet, but showing you guys what's possible. Yeah, I'm not totally sold on the whole kind of timing of this thing. So let's see what the regular timing is. Oh, this one's still there. So I'm just going to undo that. Sorry. Switch me to off. Make sure I'm not doing the wrong thing. Control or command click the thing to bring it back to the regular keyframes. I'm gonna use these guys. So I'm not quite sure why it's not looping perfectly, so I'm just going to try to fix that first. Let's see. So let's say I'm happy with my motion of these guys. I'm just going to remember I told you about shy layers. I'm going to make these guys shy so I don't want to see them. I'm going to click this button here, and I'm going to click this button here, and I'm going to enable shy layers. Now those guys are gone. Static grid is locked. I'm just going to delete these guys. I don't want to delete them. I don't pattern anymore, so just have my 6 moving squares and my background. And I'll tell you what, I'm just going to delete that the vignettes from all of them. Vignette off, vignette, vignette, vignette. Yeah, not a faster way to do that, unfortunately. Vignette, and off. I don't like it. So, I'm making it dull. So, I'm back to. So here I am. In the main comp. Okay, so I'm just going to check this for one. I'm just going to duplicate A and see if it's okay, if it's actually looping. So I'm going to delete all the keyframes. Now I want to see if it loops perfectly. Now it seems a bit of a jump. So let me delete the time remap. Delete all this. Okay, so now enable time remapping. Alright, so we're going to loop out. So the end of my 4th second. So if this was my loop, this is a perfect loop so far. Yeah. So I need to make the keyframe here. And then time remap. Let's see if that's very loop. I'll delete my last keyframe. Let's put the end here. Right. So basically my frames are all off by 1. My time remap frames, if you can see, I chose the wrong keyframe to choose as my endpoint. So I'm gonna take this guy. Four seconds. So now that I know that I'm off by 1 frame, put this there for 8. So does this work? I'm just soloing this. So right now 1 and 5 are the same. So 1, 5 and 9 are the same. See? So I made a mistake and I then figured out how to correct the mistake. I'm just going to copy these 2 frames. Select all my other ones. Delete. I'm just going to time remap, copy my time remap, paste it. Delete. If I can delete the time remap of all of them. Paste time remap here, paste time remap here, paste time remap here, and paste time remap here. So now I think I have a much better loop. So now if I do 1, 9, you see 1 and 9 are exactly the same. 1, 5, well 5 is physically actually in a different place, but 1 and 9 are the same. And this is what I want you guys to do. I was wondering why it wasn't matching, and it's because I chose the wrong Time Remap frames. So there you go. So this is more than what I would like to. I mean, it would help if I had a music track or if I had something else to sync stuff to, but for what I asked you guys to do, this is what I'm looking for, a perfect loop. 1 and 9 have to be the same, which it is in mine. It wasn't earlier because I made a mistake and then I fixed that. So if you guys have a mistake, please try to find where the mistake is. I'd rather you make the mistake and figure it out than do something simple and not make a mistake at all. So let's do the next thing and render this out. So if I were to, so yeah, I'm just going to check it one more time, see if it's okay. Do I like the vignette? I don't know if I do, so I'm just gonna delete these guys. Oh, sorry, I deleted the layer. Yeah, there you go. So I like the clean look. So now I have a bit of a vignette still at the back. There you go. I'm not a fan of a vignette right now. Yeah, I like this. It's nice and clean. So if I were to, so now let me see what happens when I play this back. You need to like it more, like the clean edges. So what I'm gonna do right now is I know that this is my animation. It's fine. Like this is the loop that I'm happy with. So I'm gonna take this. Okay, I can trim this composition to work areas. Now I've figured out that this is my 1 and 9, same. Well, no, because it's cut off that frame, so I can't. So just undo it. 1 and 9. So I take this composition, put it into a new composition, so it calls it automatically grid animation 2. And here I have an 8-second animation, after which it just stops. So I'm just gonna again choose this guy. I could have sent this one to the render queue as well. I could have sent this one to render queue. I just wanted to maybe even if I wanted to composite something else on it, then I would do it to one layer and not to all of them. So maybe let me see. Just to show you guys, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to call it overlay, and I'm going to do a ramp, gradient ramp. And what that does is either I could have a linear ramp or a radial ramp. Changing the, so if I were to put a blending mode on it, like from here, it changes the look of my piece quite a bit. I was going to make it too bright, but if I were to bring down this opacity to like 15%. I'm just showing you guys this thing. I want to see clean colors. I want to see the colors I chose, so I'm going to leave it as it is. What I could do is let me make sure I don't make the same mistake again. So let me time remap this guy. So I just want to make sure I've learned my lesson. So that I have learned my lesson. So it is a loop that's going on forever. So I keep moving. What I'm going to do is make it half the length by just dragging it back. So we made a 4-second animation in the beginning. We elongated to 8 seconds so that we could move around in 1 second thing. And now I'm going to bring this back using time remapping to 4 seconds. That basically makes my motion a lot more quicker. And I like that. So this is more in line with what I like. The earlier one was too slow. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. So I asked you guys to make a 8-second loop. So I'm just going to go there, choose. So I just made the duration of my loop 8 seconds again, just because that's what I asked you guys to do. But the speed, I doubled the speed by just moving the time remap frames at the final comp. So now that I'm happy with this, I'm not doing any overlay effects to it. I'm just gonna render it out. So go to add to render queue from composition, and this is what I've done earlier. So again, I don't need to mess around with any of these settings. I just go to my lossless here. Go to from animation, I change it to H264. That's fine. Switch my audio off and give myself a name. So projects 1 renders. So section 0 for me, exercise 1, 0, 0 Kunal, grid animation V3. So it hasn't yet rendered this yet. Now when I click render, it will. So there. So I have my file. I'm just going to save it. So my file is basically here. 13.7 I think MB. Yeah, 13.7 MB. Not sure why these lines are there. I can try to fix that next time. Maybe it's because of what's behind. Maybe it's just transparency. Let me go back to my file and see where it is. That's what it is. It's the background. There's a half pixel problem there. So if I were to make a background solid, that is this color, then I stop having a problem. So yeah, so now I'm gonna go back to this composition and I'm gonna render it again. Again, same thing. H264. The audio. So that's why you keep versioning up, so that you know where you can incorporate the feedback from your earlier mistakes like that. Some things just become apparent once you render them. So this. I don't see that line. Oh, it's still there. You know what? It's good. I'm way back to GIF. Anyway, so now I want to show you guys how to make a GIF. Save this again. So I open Photoshop and open, renders 4. Open this guy out. And I have a timeline here, so that it opens it out as a timeline. Oh, I don't have that line. I guess I played the wrong thing back again. So yay me. I guess I didn't click this. Oh yeah. So here is the file that I rendered out again. My bad. The line is gone. No problems. Line is gone. So shit, my bad. Okay. So now that I'm happy with this, I go to File, Export, Save for Web. Photoshop. Okay, here we go. So Save for Web dialog is here. It shows you a preview of what you have. It's huge, my one, and it also shows you a kind of file size. So there are a few things. There's lots of options here, but there are a few things we need to keep our eyes open for. One is the file size, and the other is the number of colors. So here are some presets. You can have 182, 64, 32. I mean, in the GIF options. Let's see how it goes with 32, because that's going to be the lightest. You can also change your size over here, the image size. Okay, and it shows us a preview of that, so you can see already a little bit of, some what do you call these things? Artifacts around. They're not deal breakers for sure. What happens if I do diff? 32 diff. And so here the file size was the same, 8.695. I guess my file size is going to be huge because of my image size. So I'm going to just change it to 1000 by 1000 pixels. Half the size. And generally you should try to keep your GIFs under 5 MB. More than 5 MB, it starts getting a bit draggy. It doesn't load sometimes. Yeah, it's taking a bit of time. Why it does that? Yeah. And now you can see that the GIF size is now 3.64 MB. I like the quality of it, it's fine for me. You can even do a playback here. You see how some of these things look in motion, and it's fine, it works for me. So here I have GIF 32 diff selected. I have changed up half the size to 1000 by 1000 pixels. And the final thing that I want to do is instead of looping it only once, I want it to loop forever. This is very, very important if you want it to loop forever. A lot of people forget this little thing here, and they're like, oh, why isn't my GIF looping? Because you didn't select that, right? So I know it's 3.648 MB, so having done this, I'm good. And because this is such a limited palette, it's not, the GIF isn't really breaking up into, the moment you start having gradients and textures and grain and stuff like that, your GIF starts to look worse than the source, right? So because there's a very specific color palette, the GIF isn't kind of deteriorating. So cool, I'm gonna save it. To where is the project? And I don't have any place for GIF, so I'm just gonna do new folder GIF. I call it GIF. You could do a shit for that. I'm just gonna, because it's my first GIF, so it's grid anim GIF. Let's save that there. Cool. So I go to my Finder, or let me look at this. It's 3.8 MB. And it loops forever. Colors are fine. It's a bit frantic, but yeah, it's good. I mean, I could tweak this till the end of the night, but like, guess I need to keep the tutorial short. You guys don't have to do that last thing where I made it twice as fast, because that's kind of made this quite frantic. I'll leave that to you guys, but either way, the only thing is that the first and the last frame has to be exactly the same, and you have to make a GIF after that. Render it out, make a QuickTime, then make a GIF, right? 8-second GIF. Keep it under 5 MB, and we're good. Cool. Thanks, guys. It's a pleasure doing this tutorial again with you guys. Hope you learned something, and if you're stuck, we will resolve that soon. Thank you.